What's going on YouTube? My name is Andrew, aka the Black Dragon. This is Black Dragon Studios, and I'm back with another episode of Doomsday Last Survivors for you guys. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing you guys a recap of Phase 2 of Top Commander that just finished yesterday. If you want to go back and watch the beginning of the Top Commander videos that I have posted, you can go back and watch Phase 1 and Phase 2. I'll be posting them in order, and it will go all the way up to Phase 6 eventually, so stay on the lookout for that. I'm going to start uploading them today, so I'm on Phase 3 today, but I'm going to upload Phase 1 to YouTube today, so I'm only doing like a 2-day delay, which I really feel is fair after long consideration. I'm really not concerned with anybody like video sniping me or whatever. If you're in my group, the point totals are already predetermined basically anyways. From my end, I know exactly how many points I'm gonna get in this Top Commander. I'm not gonna tell you. Actually, I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you now. I'm gonna tell you because by the time you're seeing this video, we're gonna be on like Phase 6 anyways, so it's really not gonna matter. So you're not going to be able to do anything at that point anyways, because most of the point totals are capped beyond this day. This is a big day, but before we get into this day, go ahead, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. It helps grow the channel, and I'll tell you guys what happened in Phase 2. So we're on Phase 2. I think I told you guys I got around like 14 million or 15 million points in yesterday's video. Well, I ended up somehow finding like extra points, just looking through my inventory and stuff like that. Ended up getting over 28 million points to finish off that day, coming from basically nothing. That was insane. So we had a pretty good day, and then we've got, you know, your typical Meat Wagon and Recat just wailing it out. These guys are going absolutely insane, like 69 million points and 59 million points respectively on those days. So the overall rankings after the first two phases, and shortly, like a little bit into day 3 as well, is Meat Wagon's bringing up 214 million points, which he's probably going to finish this Top Commander. This guy really wants Rubina, I'm guessing. He's probably going to finish this Top Commander with 600 million points, which is absolutely nasty. And then Recat's probably going to do the same thing. To stay in second place, he's probably going to be getting 550 million at the very least points to take second place. I don't think he'll overtake Meat Wagon. I think Meat Wagon understands his assignment. Is gonna make sure that Recat does not ever get ahead of him in this tournament. As for me, I've only got to deal with opioids underneath me. Everyone else is irrelevant right now. Like, there's no possible way with the amount of points that I have set for phases 4, 5, and 6. Nobody's gonna be able to come close. I'm probably gonna be up there with Meat Wagon and Recat on days 4 and 5 for points. And then for Phase 6, I'm going to be getting about 80%. I'm going to be getting very close to the max on that day as well. So I'm estimating that I will finish this Top Commander with close to 400 million points, which is pretty good for me. I think that'll secure me third place, which is really nice. And then in this Splendid Stelly event, to get these rank rewards here, these Rubina energy cores, I think I might be happy if I could just slide into 4th or 5th at this point. It's looking pretty grindy. We did have the guy just pop like 3,000 on, of course, right? He popped 3,000 on, you know, so he's currently in first. A couple guys jumped ahead of me there. I still have 200 exquisite files that I can put on, so I can finish at close to 1,700, but that's not going to be enough to take second place, so I'll probably finish the Splendid Stelly event which is like the second most important thing in Top Commander. I'm probably going to finish that in third place as well. Thank God Meat Wagon and Recat are not in this category because they'd probably be pissing me off right now with how much they've spent on that. But yeah, so ultimately, I'm hoping to finish this Top Commander with 130 Rubina fragments, which will bring me to 200, technically 200 Rubina fragments, because I did go ahead and awaken my Bella yesterday. So my Bella is fully awakened now. I have a fully awakened Bella. So with gear, this is the gear that I have for her. I'm at 1889 million might. Not too bad for a newbie, but definitely not where I want to be. She's got a fully max awakened kit. I'm super happy about that. Actually, I broke down, I had a little think about it. I decided, you know what, it's probably better that I just awaken her, and that way I can have a fully leveled, fully starred, fully awakened hero to go with, that I'm going to use out in the field, that I'm going to use pretty much everywhere for the rest of time. So why not just awaken her? And I'm not regretting the decision one bit. So back to the theme of the video. I'm going to make this as short as I possibly can for you guys. The training and roulette theme, the explanation that I'm about to do, the theory crafting that I'm about to do. And I will just admit right now, I didn't watch anyone else's video. I figured this out on my own, but I'm sure there's other videos out there that describe exactly what I'm about to talk about in the exact same fashion. However, what I will tell you is that it took me quite a long time to figure this out. It took me roughly 4 hours of just sitting down and calculating scenarios and, figuring out different scenarios to figure out what is best for Top Commander in general. So let's say you're like me and you're running a little bit short on speed ups, right? I mean, how couldn't you be running a little short on speed ups, especially if you're a low spender or a free to play player, especially. Speed ups are very premium in this event because just to get through the final phase of the event and max points, you're going to need 380 days worth of speed ups. And to get through the first day of Top Commander, you're going to need 300 days of speed ups. So just those 2 days alone is 680 days worth of speed ups. That's not including doing any training on phase 3. So if you want phase 3 as well, I would estimate that you're probably going to want at least another 100 days worth of speed ups. So if you really want to go the full Bonnie on Top Commander and do what these whales are doing, you're going to have to save up at least 800 days worth of speed ups. That's 800 days worth of speed ups. And at least 100 of those days, at bare minimum, needs to be training speed ups. Now that we have that said, I'm going to tell you guys exactly what goes on in phase 3, okay? So, lucky roulette. We get 132,000 points per lucky roulette spin in phase 3. That's totally cool. We also get points for Bounty Ground, Water War, using exquisite files for the Splendid Stelly event, which ends today, I might add, at the end of this day. So I'll have those results for you guys in the next video about how I finished in the Splendid Stelly event. But there's still time to go before I actually put files on. I might throw that in at the end of the video. I haven't decided yet if I want to just maybe throw the last minute of the Splendid Stelly event in so you guys can see what people are doing last minute, I think it's going to go nuts. Because if you see this ranking system and the rankings right now, it's very tight. It's a very close between even just 12th place and first and second place. It's a very, very small difference. Only 725 files separate second place from 10th place. More less than that, like 600 files from 10th place. So it's a very, very tight race right now. And everyone, understandably so, everybody wants as many of these energy cores as they can possibly get their hands on. So good luck, everyone out there who's doing this event today. Beyond that, today's video, the purpose of today's video, and I know we're already 11 minutes into the video, but I'm going to make this as short and sweet as I humanly can. I'm going to give you guys my experience with this phase, pending you have both the first day and the last phase max. So phase 1 and phase 6, you're going to get 100 million points for both of those days. And I will just add that phase 6 is only going to give you 200 points for every minute of speed up used, whereas phase 1 is going to give you 250 points for every 1 minute of speed ups used. So that's why I said you only need 300 days worth of speed ups to complete day 1, whereas on phase 6 you're going to need 380 days worth of speed ups to complete that day. So keep that in mind, that it takes more speed ups to max out the last phase than it does on the first phase. So my theory is we're going to go in here and look at the amount of points that you can earn for training squads, okay? I'm not concerned about Lucky Roulette. If you guys want to do Lucky Roulette, do Lucky Roulette. There's no limit on how much Lucky Roulette you guys can do. If you guys need those heroes, then go do Lucky Roulette. But it's not going to really affect your training squads a whole lot, or your saving of resources to train squads at all. My biggest regret of this entire Top Commander, now that I've gotten to this point, was that I didn't save my speed ups the way I should have been saving my speed ups. If I had just been saving my speed ups properly since the beginning that I've been playing this game, which is almost 9 months now, I would have more than enough speed ups to max out both days and get probably about 100, maybe 500,000 troops trained, which would probably net me about 80 million points on this day alone here. So I could have got 80 million points today, plus maxed out the first phase and the last phase. But unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to train any troops today, and I am going to only get 80 million points on the last phase from speed ups that I have left that I can actually use. So I'm going to finish this Top Commander with roughly 400 million points, like I said, which is fine. But I could have probably got at, around 500 million points if I had just saved my darn speed ups. I probably could have got more if I really needed it. The whole issue with saving is you don't, like, the game baits you, you know what I mean? The game always is baiting you into, with little events, and spending here, spending there, spend your speed ups here, spend your speed ups there. It's very hard to not indulge in some of those events at times, isn't it? Or use some of those healing speed ups in Archipelago Raid or Island Raid, which can be used in Top Commander to get speed up point days done. Instead, we're using them pointlessly. I remember weeks and weeks of healing speed ups on my troops that I didn't need to do during events where it wasn't getting me anything for it. So mistakes were definitely made, and they definitely don't need to be made ever again. But anyways, enough of that. So that's my story. we're done with the story, and now we're into the educational part of the video. If you want the TLDR, the too long didn't read of the video from here on forward, if you just want my short version of what I'm about to tell you and you don't want anything else from me, this is what I would suggest. Get your 100 million points on day 1. Get your 100 million points on phase 6. But on phase 3, if you have max points for both of those events, then train your troops. That's totally fine. If you don't have max points for phase 6, then be very careful about how many troops you train, if any, on phase 3, because on phase 3 you're going to get about 50% less points for the amount of speed ups that it's going to take you to train troops quickly on phase 3 than it would be to use those same speed ups on phase 6. You're going to get twice as many points per speed up on phase 6 as you would training those troops on phase 3. Okay, that's the long and short of it. So as you can see here, we've got the point totals that you get for training troops. For T4 you get 40, for T5 you get 80, and for T6 you get 150. Well, what does that mean? Well, I'm going to tell you what that means. Alright, so here I've brought my spreadsheet. So we're going to be going over this. I know this looks like a lot of information, but I'm going to be condensing it for you guys. You guys can screenshot it if you want. But it's basically just all about phase 3 training troops. So this is estimating that you have all of the buffs that you could possibly get. There's going to be a Federation buff that goes on at 14 UTC for everybody. There's going to be a regional training buff that you can ask for as well. So with both of those buffs, you'll receive 20% training time, and as well as your personal buffs. What I mean by personal buffs is if I go here, in here, and look at this, see what I just clicked on? So it's going to tell me here where I'm getting all of my training speed from. So I've got 49% extra training speed, and I've got the privileges subscription, technology, so research that I've done, commander equipment, vehicle, VIP privileges, survivors, and settlements within the region. For everybody it'll be a little bit different. Yours might say 40 or yours might say 60. But once you put those two Federation buffs and the regional buffs on, which gives you an additional 10% training speed on each one, then it will say, 50 or 60, it'll say more. So your training times will go down significantly. You can also get a training buff from Archipelago Raid or Island Raid if those events are going on during this phase. Unfortunately, Island Raid doesn't start for 2 days, so I'm kind of screwed. I don't get to train any troops today. I don't get to train a single troop. So I did it to myself, and even if I did, bro, I'm up against 2 whales. They're going to finish with 550 and 600 million points estimated. Even if I slapped on 100 million points today in this phase, I still would finish 3rd. So what's the point? You know what I mean? It doesn't. The only thing I gained from that is I get more troops. Whoop-de-frickin-do. I would rather just start saving for the next training top commander. That's gonna be 6 months from now. If you save properly, you don't need to take 9 months to a year to do your first top commander. If you do it like me, then yes, you're going to have to do 9 months to a year. But if you do as I say and not as I do, you're only going to have to take 6 months before you can participate in your first top commander. So here we go. We're going to do the spreadsheet here regarding phase 3. So this whole sheet assumes that you have those 2 buffs, the Federation buff and the regional buff. Okay? It doesn't take into account the 10% additional buff from Archipelago Raid or Island Raid, because those events aren't always going to be going on during this time. So I've factored that in. Okay? But be sure to add that in if it is going on for your respective top commander. Troop training day, fact or fiction? Fact. Do not use speed ups to train troops on phase 3 unless you have max speed up points for phases 1 and phase 6. That is a fact. Fiction. Training speed ups on phase 3 are worth more than any other phase if used correctly. Incorrect. Incorrect. Training speed ups are worth less on phase 3 than on any other day, even if they are used correctly. Like, for example, what I mean by using them correctly is you train troops and then you upgrade them to your highest level of troops that you could possibly do. So let's say you have T5s, then you train T4s, and then you upgrade them to T5. On phase 3, you'll not only get points for upgrading, but you'll get points for the initial training as well. So you'll get double the points, basically. Not double the points, but you'll get more points effectively for the same amount of resources that you would get if you were to just train them but not upgrade them. Makes sense? Same amount of speed ups, same amount of resources, same amount of time, but the only difference is that if you train them and then upgrade them, you'll get points first for training them, and then you'll get points again for upgrading them. Does that make sense? All right, perfect. So now that we've understood that part, we can go a little deeper into the numbers here. So as you can see here, I'm highlighting what I'm talking about. Train squads point values. So how much points are we getting per troop trained, right? T4 troop, which most everyone's going to be doing if you have T5s unlocked, you're going to be doing T4 troops in this phase, is 40 points per troop. 40 points per troop. What does that mean? Well, it means if you trained 10,000 T4 troops in this phase, it's going to get you 400,000 points. Now that might not seem like a lot, but if you look at how much speed ups it's going to take to actually do that, I'm going to tell you. If you were to just train 10,000 T4 troops and do nothing else, right? Or I actually will say T5s, because you're probably going to have T5s when you go into your first top commander. So let's say you have your T5 troops, right? Because on day 1, you probably unlocked your T5 troops in the research speed ups that you used, right? So you're going to have T5 troops and you're going to do 10,000 of them, for example. That's going to get you 800,000 points. For 10,000 troops, that's not very much, considering how much it's going to cost you to actually upgrade those troops, right? Let's only make 5k T5 troops with no upgrade, okay? So how long that's going to take? That's going to take 3.1 days to make 5k T5 troops, or 74.4 hours, or 4,464 minutes on average. So we're looking at phase 6 points. Okay, it's going to give you 200 points per minute on phase 6, because if you were to take, like, let's say you didn't really have enough speed ups, or you're kind of like on the cusp of being able to like max out the final phase, you weren't really sure if you should use your speed ups or not. Using this amount of speed ups to train 5,000 troops is only going to get you 1,116,000 points on phase 6 with that amount of speed ups. That's how much those speed ups would get you. But that amount of troops would only get you 400k points on phase 3. So you're only getting 33% of the value of those speed ups if you use them on day 3. You're only getting 33% of the value of those speed ups if you use them on day 3. So keep that in mind, okay? Just keep that in mind. It's a big difference. It's a big difference. So make sure that you have enough speed ups to be able to max phase 6 and be able to still train troops on phase 3. Otherwise, just don't train troops. It's not that big of a deal. Like, if you're like me and you're not really a whale and you're not really caring about first place because the whales are not going to allow you to get first place unless you spend an absurd amount of money and resources, then don't worry about getting first place. Like, I've seen people that spend a lot of money on this game still not get first place in Top Commander because you don't realize how ridiculous these players are spending thousands, I'm talking thousands of dollars per top commander to get the ranks that they get. So don't worry about the whales. Just do your best and do what you can do. That's my suggestion to you. Okay? So obviously it's not worth it to just straight up train squads. How can we maximize those speed ups to ensure that we're going to get even more points? Well, let's do this. How much is it going to get to do T4 to T5? 60 points. We're going to get on average per troop if we're doing both training and upgrading. If we go by this chart here, right? We're going to get 40 points for a T4 and 80 points for a T5 troop. So I've averaged that out to the average cost, which is 60 points. Okay? So if we go down here, we're going to make 5k T4 troops, and then we're going to upgrade them all to T5. And stay tuned till the end of the video. I'm going to give you guys a tip on how you can jump start your training day on phase 3 all the way back on phase 1. Okay, so stay tuned for that. So the total time it takes to do this is actually like 3 or 4 hours less to make the T4 and then upgrade them to T5, which is interesting. Okay, so we made already 5k T5 troops, and that took 3.1 days, right? Well, to actually do this whole process of making the 5k T4 troops and then upgrading all of those 5k T4 troops to T5 troops, it actually only takes 3.08 days to do that. So it actually takes 0.03 less days to do that process. Okay? So that's 4,444 minutes, or 1,111,000 top commander points worth of speed ups on phase 6. On phase 6. I don't want to say phase 1. We're not going to include phase 1 in this. But if it was phase 1, that was written before I figured out that you have a different amount of points that you get for phase 1 and phase 6 on your speed ups. Okay? If it was phase 1, it would be worth 1,350,000 roughly top commander points for that amount of speed ups. Okay? So you get 2 times the amount of troops trained for top commander. And on average, you're going to get a little bit less points per trained troop, but you're going to get double the amount. Okay, so it averages out to roughly 50% more points. By doing it this way, it's not costing you anything. So do it this way, and it'll actually be saving you on speed ups in the long run. You'll be saving like 3 hours or 4 hours every time you do 5,000 troops, which is actually a lot. If you add that up, let's say you trained like 100,000 troops, right? Then you're going to save like 3 days worth of speed ups. I'm just ballparking, but it could be 4, it could be 2. I'm just ballparking. You're going to save a lot of freaking time doing it this way. So in closing, to optimally train troops on phase 3, you will get more points if you simply make them 1 tier lower first and then just upgrade them, regardless of how many speed ups you have. It also takes a few hours less to make 1 tier lower and then upgrade them 1 tier, giving you twice as many troops trained in the game's eyes and slightly less time. So in theory, it's better to always do this to maximize efficiency and resources, because in the long run, even when you do this not during a top commander event, it's going to save you a little bit of time as well. Okay, so the whole point of this game is to maximize time and resources, you know? That's what we call efficiency. So you want to maximize your efficiency and you will maximize your profits in the game. And listen to me, I sound like a freaking professor saying all this. Again, do as I say, not as I do, because I certainly didn't do this. I spent my speed ups a lot. I spent a lot of speed ups. I actually got my T5 riders unlocked about 3 months ago. And I probably spent well over 100 days worth of research speed ups at that time to unlock my T5 troops that I could have just saved for top commander. I could have, but I didn't. And, that's because I'm human. We all make mistakes. But my one regret looking back on it now to this day, if I could go back and change it all, hindsight is 2020, right? If I knew I was going to be in top commander with 2 whales, that even if I got this 100 million points on phase 3, it still wouldn't have mattered. I wouldn't have cared. But I couldn't have known that back then, right? For all I know, that 100 million points could have been the difference between third and first place for this top commander. And normally it probably would have. But I didn't plan to have a brand new superhero come out for my first ever top commander, so I wasn't prepared for that. And I certainly wasn't going to be waiting any longer to go into top commander. It was time to go. I needed to compete and get that, hero going and unlock all those resources that I've been saving up for nearly a year. It's been too long. You know what I mean? At some point, something's got to give, right? One can only save for so long. It's just a freaking video game after all, right? So, in relation to getting the most possible top commander points, it is technically 50% less effective to use speed ups on phase 3 unless you already have max point totals. At this time, it's 100 million for each day, phase 1 and phase 6, so that's 200 million points. Then you can go bananas on phase 3. Use as many points, train as many troops as you want. Just make sure to keep in mind that phase 6 is coming. Okay? So, and also keep in mind that your speed ups don't get you any points for this phase either. So just be aware of that. Alright guys, that's going to end the video for me today. This has been another episode of Doomsday Last Survivors. My name's Andrew. This is Black Dragon Studios. Good luck to everyone and your top commander. And if you guys have any questions, the answer to your question is probably back somewhere in the video. So I would just highly suggest just go back and rewatch the video, especially the math parts, and maybe copy and paste that notepad that I had put up on the screen for pretty much the whole video, because the information is probably somewhere in that transcript, and if it's not, you can always ask in the comment section, and if I haven't already mentioned it in the video, I'll tell you, or I'll just point out what time I mention it in the video so you can go rewatch it. All right, peace out guys, and again, like, comment, and subscribe. It helps grow the channel, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.